Hi, Aida. Hi, Moni. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Fernando. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello, hello, community. Great to have all of you here. So let's officially dive into this really enriching conversation that I very much look forward to. As you are here, we are looking at the ICF um, Advanced Certification in Team Coaching credential, and we are celebrating today Michelle Ascott. So, as you begin, please allow me to very briefly, and I believe that she will be able to do a better introduction. So, Michelle is an international life coach and also a team facilitator. As you may be aware, Michelle is an ICF professional certified coach, and also some months ago, Michelle also acquired ICF advanced certification in team coaching, and that's the very reason why we are meeting today to learn from her experiences, gain some insights, and be inspired. Especially if you are considering following the same path. So as we begin this session today, please note that this is being recorded, and this recording will be available through our social media and professional networking platforms. So I don't think that I really did the justice to introducing Michelle. So I would like to invite Michelle to introduce herself. Michelle, over to you.
Thank you, Fernando, and hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here and to share my ACTC journey. As Fernando said, PCC, ACTC, all those acronyms. So, I work with teams, I work with groups, I work with individuals, executives, youths. I coach the whole range of people, and I've been coaching now for over 16 years. I love what I do. And I wear many hats within the coaching field because it's diverse. But of course, in this capacity, we're talking about team coaching. So I will just keep it as brief as that, really, because I think everybody wants to get the nuggets and understanding about the ACTC. So thank you very much, Fernando.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michelle. For those who are joining us within the past few minutes, I would like to welcome all of you once again. So, in this conversation today, we are addressing how to advance your team coaching practice. Specifically, we are going to discuss about advanced certification in team coaching credential with ICF. And this conversation is going to focus on Michelle's experience while we are celebrating her, and also being inspired by her journey if you are intending to pursue this credential, which I believe is a very valuable credential. So, as we begin this journey today, we would like to first understand from Michelle herself. You mentioned earlier that you're a team facilitator, and we are also understanding that there's a very clear difference between being a team facilitator and a team coach. So, Michelle, who are you as a team coach?
Wonderful question. So, as a team coach, I'm personally, I am very interested in dynamics of people, of groups, of teams. So as a team coach, I am someone who helps shine the light on the team so that they can actually understand how they're working and is that effective? Is that serving them? So I love, coming in because obviously before we coach, we have to find out we have to look at various sources to find out about the team. We may observe them in meetings. We talk to the different stakeholders. We talk to the team leader. So we build up that profile. But what I love is when you actually get into the room with the team and then you begin to really understand those dynamics and what are at play. So that is something I'm very emotionally intelligent. So I'm very good at seeing patterns and understanding how people interact. So the great thing is, as a team coach, you're shining that light so that the team can actually step back and have a look and think to themselves, actually, this is how we're doing it, but how is that working? And what I love about team coaching is you are asking them to look at it. So you are really developing that reflective tool. And then, of course, with team coaching, the gift is that you are helping them to be self-sufficient and be able to do it themselves, so that when you step back from them, they can actually themselves be reflecting and thinking about, okay, so how we're talking now, how we're dealing with that conflict, is it actually serving us? So I feel like, just like with coaching, one-to-one, team coaching is also a bit like magic, because you're asking the right questions, the right tools, all those different strategies, and then you're helping the team to work more efficiently. And so you're actually driving them to be a better performing team. So I could go on a lot about this, Fernando. But as a team coach, I'm someone who is very aware of what is going on and brave in terms of bringing that to the table of the team and then getting them to reflect on it, and they themselves think about, is this serving us or not?
Thank you very much, Michelle. I think you shared a very important golden nugget. Just like in one-on-one coaching, when we work with our clients, we don't intend to hold the client in our grasp forever, continue to coaching. Rather, what we do is building coaching mindset. So here in team coaching, as you mentioned, what we are hearing, what we are learning from you is that as a team coach, you enable the cohesion so that they can team coach as you engage with them, as you help them build that team cohesion, and then they are to continue the team coaching. So that's a very important aspect. And I think that's also where team coaching is very different from team facilitation, mentoring, consulting. Thank you. Now, I think, Michelle, as we are clarifying what team coaching is, I believe many of our colleagues who are joining this session live, as well as those who are joining us later online, may have the question in mind. So, how is team coaching different from individual coaching? Would you like to address that?
Yeah. So I think if we just go back to the competencies a bit, the team coaching competencies build on there. So it's not that it's completely different, it's building on it. So I think when we're thinking about what the difference is, perhaps the biggest one is the fact that you can be directive as a team coach, but you have to be professional about it and think about, to serve the team and for them to be a better team, better functioning, is it right for me to step in now and be directive? Is it right for me to come in with an exercise? Is it right for me to share a particular observation? Is it right for me to say the path that should go? So it's not like, you've got this carte blanche to just go and be directive. You have to think about, ultimately, I want to serve the team. Do they need me to be directive? And of course, in one-to-one coaching, you're not directive at all. It's all about, the belief that the individual has the answers and that they are whole and capable, which we still believe with the team. But the thing is, you're thinking about, do I need to intervene here? Do I need to share an observation? Do I need to come in with an exercise to serve the bigger picture, the performance and the functioning of that team? So I'd say that is the biggest difference in terms of that one-to-one. A similarity, but again, a difference is it's the client, isn't it? So with one-to-one, obviously it's one person. With team coaching, it's still one entity, but it's the team as a whole. They are your client. And so you have to serve the client. Yes, you can help the individuals, but ultimately your function is to serve the team. So I think those are the biggest differences, really.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. It's very valuable to understand that we can bring back the directive approach in team coaching. But yet again, there's what you're sharing with us. Yet again, we need to measure and clarify whether that's the right intervention. Is it the right time to intervene? And also keep in mind that we are not necessarily directing the outcome or the result solution, rather directing the process itself. So thank you for helping us understand that. And also, Michelle, as you are sharing about this directive approach, I thought of something a little bit interesting. So when many of us, myself included, when we came to one-on-one coaching space, we found it a little bit, some of us found it difficult to not use a directive approach, this providing an advice, sharing our direct story, and so on. And then what happened to us is, as professional coaches, we really embodied the coaching mindset and really stepped outside of that role of providing advice and solutions. And then, as a team coach, when our coaches now have to go back to a directive approach, once again we find it a little bit a bit of friction there. Did you find any such thing, Michelle, in your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, you know, as you said, for a long time, you're sort of, I'm not, I'm going to just step back. So absolutely, it feels a little bit like reprogramming in terms of, yeah, so sort of saying it's okay to say this because this is going to help the team. So absolutely. And also sort of going back to that question about the differences is with team coaching, you know, other team modalities may come in as well, because obviously there's a whole, you know, spectrum in terms of being a facilitator, a team builder, you know, the whole spectrum. So sometimes as well, you will find that unlike coaching, where it's pure coaching, when you go and have an assignment with a company, actually you might be doing some team building, you might be doing some consulting, you might be doing some facilitating. So also that is very different because with coaching one-to-one, it's quite a pure. So also that is different. And then sort of going back to those competencies, that is fine for us to do that, but we have to be very clear that we're coaching, that we're team building, and also most importantly, that we're skilled for that. Otherwise, it is fine, you know, as long as we, with the agreement, when we're setting up and contracting at the beginning, that we also bring other experts in. So that is another big difference, that actually you could go in there with different hats if you are qualified.
Thank you for helping us understand that distinction, Michelle, because I also have noticed sometimes when I speak to coaches who deliver one-on-one coaching, those who engage in team coaching, although without a foundational understanding or education, very often I see that we still do facilitation, mentoring, trainings, disguised as team coaching. But as a team coach understands the power, value, the importance of delivering coaching, at the same time using a directive approach and bringing in other elements as necessary. Michelle, as now we are talking about touching base on competency. If I may invite you to think about what would be your favorite team coaching competency?
Okay, let me just have a little think about which competency. Okay, I always think that embodying a coaching mindset, I really like that. And I think that also, because I mean, I didn't say, but you know, one of my specialisms is emotional intelligence. So I train people, companies, etc., on emotional intelligence. So this is where, you know, I talked a bit about it, but this is where that emotional intelligence comes in. So, you know, looking at patterns, looking at dynamics. So I think that's really important, and that constant reflection, because you do have to do that. Well, we have to do it with any coaching, but particularly with team coaching, because it's so complex, it is really important that you are constantly reflecting. And I actually have to say that team coaching can be quite exhausting, but in a sort of energizing way, because you have to be so switched on and looking, not, you know, you're reading the room on so many different levels. You know, you need to make sure you've had a good night's sleep before you go and do a team coaching session. And then another difference between one-to-one and team coaching is that here in the competencies, a co-coach. And, you know, with one-to-one, you just do it yourself. But here, even in the competencies, it's saying, get a co-coach, have a co-coach. And actually, there are so many benefits to that, because you are doing so much. You're making sure that the conversation flows. You're making sure that everybody's included, but you're also looking for the dynamics, and maybe that these people aren't working, and then that there's a hierarchical issue and whatever. It's a lot. So it's beautiful also to have a co-coach with you, because they can also be seeing things that, you're only human, that you may miss. And in their role, as long as you've introduced them and you know who they are and that they're an expert and stated their purpose, or stated that they're working with you as another coach, then that can be wonderful, because you might miss something, or they can, when people are interacting, they can give feedback in a positive and a constructive way on what they're seeing. So I love the fact that, you've got that co-coaching element, and then also as well the supervision, which again, if you are going in there and you're reading the room on so many levels, it's actually really important to have a supervisor, because they will just help you to reflect. Maybe something came up, maybe you're stressed because there's the dynamics, there's the power play. So it's absolutely fantastic as well to have a supervisor to support you with your reflections. And yeah, because as a coach, it's about reflection, and supervision is great one-to-one. But I would definitely say, with the complexity of team coaching, absolutely a supervisor is really crucial to help you be the best team coach that you can be.
Thank you, Michelle. You're so generous. So you're sharing 4 elements of coaching competency here. The first one being embodying a coaching mindset, remembering that even within the team environment, importance of embodying coaching mindset. And then you were talking about the amount of sensory perception, how much of presence we need to hold, the attention we need to hold. That's very true. And then you also mentioned the importance of having a co-coach because of the amount of complexity in team coaching. And also, I would like to quickly point out this word co-coach that we use within Ignite trainings, if not the industry standard. Very often, if you look at the ICF competency framework, ICF uses the word sub-coach. And one of the reasons why in the industry we do not necessarily use the word sub-coach, because organizations think sub means substitute. They do not understand the connection between the lead coach, if not the team coach, and the co-coach. So instead of calling sub-coach here, and also in the industry standard, we call it co-coach. So thank you, Michelle, for reminding us. And also you brought up the importance of supervision. So thank you very, very much for that. So Michelle, as now you gave us lots of insight around team coaching competency differences. Now let's move towards understanding a bit about your own journey. Would you like to tell us about why you personally chose to become a team coach?
Yes. Okay. So it was part of my PCC journey. I'd been at ACC for too long, but just circumstances weren't right. So I'm not even sure now, maybe 5 years ago, time flies. I decided that it was time, maybe less than 5 years, maybe 3. I decided that it was time to get that PCC. So I was looking around for many options, many courses. And I think during my renewal from my ACC, you were recommended. So I did your mentor program, which was very thorough and really helped me with my awareness as a coach. And then when I was looking for an actual advanced course to do to get the 60 CCEs that were required on top of my original coaching training, I looked around, and obviously I was already really impressed by what Ignite was offering. So I did have a look at what was offered, and then I saw that team coaching was offered, which made me think. So I looked at many courses and I came back to the team coaching, and I thought, well, I've definitely been doing group coaching, probably some aspects of team coaching, but not being aware of it. So I thought, actually, that would be really good developmentally to find out more about team coaching, and then potentially also be able to offer that. So I did the team coaching course and got so much out of it. And then maybe it's because you open your mind. At the same time that I was doing the course, I am an associate for a company, and they were doing some team coaching. So I said, I'm here. I don't mind doing some team coaching. So they gave me my first team coaching official experience. And then it just continued from that. That worked really well. So then I continued team coaching, and I'd got the certification from Ignite. So I haven't really looked back from then. So in terms of the work that I do now, a lot of it is in-house coach training, but as part of that, we also offer team coaching to those teams who are having coach training. So it was great, put it out there, got the course, and now definitely getting a lot of work around team coaching. So I was very pleased that I chose to do that, because it definitely has enhanced the work, but also doing the team coaching course and going through the ACTC process has also made me a better team coach. So adding value to the people that you work with, but also value to myself, because I'm always looking for the next way to stretch myself and improve. So going through the journey has also meant that I understand team coaching more, and so am a more effective team coach. So then even more enjoying it, because I can go deeper now, and with that experience, a lot braver and courageous as a team coach.
Thank you, Michelle. What an inspiring journey. And as you mentioned about Ignite programs, thank you very much. I think it's something that we resonate among us, the excellence, commitment that we bring to this profession. And I think it's my fortune now that I have you as an ICF educator, as one of Ignite academic partners, and delivering this program as a faculty member. So that's my fortune to have you in this space as well. I think that's because we resonate in terms of the excellence that we create with work. I think, Michelle, like you mentioned, you have been an ACC for a while before you decided to go for PCC and ACTC. And I knew that you were already doing great work as within the individual coaching space, and also as a team facilitator and the organizational work that you were doing. Now, it's one thing to become a team coach and deliver team coaching, and another to pursue ACTC credential. So I'm curious to understand, I think probably our colleagues, those who are watching this and those who are joining us here live, also to understand what was your motivation behind going from the team coach to accreditation of ACTC?
Yeah, I think it's also to do with my personality, which is also, I feel, the personality of a coach, and that idea of being a lifelong learner. So there are many reasons to be credentialed, and there's much value from it. Personally, what I like is the fact that when you're working towards something, it is also an accountability. So it keeps you accountable, because we know we can do this and this, but for me, I definitely like certificates and credentialing and those things. So it's also a way of, you're doing it for many reasons, for that pleasure, but there's also nothing like you getting that digital badge, that badge of honor to show your work. But also you are showing the organizations you work with, you're showing the people that you work with that you take your own training seriously, and that it's very important, because it's not a walk in a park to do these. We're all busy, we're all working. So you are really showing that commitment to your craft, to the profession. So that was one of the reasons. And if you've already done the PCC and you've already done the team coaching certification, it is not that big a leap to do the ACTC. I mean, it is in terms of time, but definitely, because I think it was a year apart between my PCC and my ACTC. So we all know that exam is not easy, the ICF credentialing exam, the PCC. But if you've done that exam and you survived, then what is another exam? So I just said to myself, I passed the PCC exam. Let me just do this. Let me just try for the ACTC exam, because they build on each other. When you do the PCC exam, you've got to know your competencies, and you've got to know them, and you've got to know them to be able to apply them. So then the team coaching exam is one step further, where you're then looking at how those team coaching competencies sit but the base is always going to be the one-to-one competencies. And it gave me a lot of pleasure to actually go through the process. So I do like to learn. Previous background, I was a teacher. I've always liked studying. So I enjoyed really learning more about team coaching. And I formed a group. So we've got Aida's there, formed a group from when we were doing the team coaching. So we had my peers together. So we were supporting each other, having conversations about team coaching and competencies. So it's great also as a solo entrepreneur to have that connection, but you're learning when you get together and you converse. So I'd say the biggest reason was to deepen my understanding of team coaching so I could be a better team coach. And of course, it also led me then as well to being a faculty member, so teaching other people about team coaching. Yeah, so thank you, Fernando.
Thank you, Michelle. So once again, congratulations, and we celebrate this success. And I think something I also have experienced in the past year is that I think we all recall, we as professional coaches, I think we all recall that there was a time there were many coaching platforms mushrooming, and organizations started catching up with coaching and then start hiring coaches across the globe. And there was a time that having ICF training was enough. And then there was a time having the ACC credential was enough. And then recent tendency, what we are noticing is that now the standard has gone higher to PCC. Even some of the coaching platforms, international coaching platforms, require a PCC to be able to join them and to begin delivering coaching. And the recent tendency that I see, especially those coaches who do group work within organizations are starting to request for ACTC, which is a wonderful news, because organizations are recognizing the power, value, transformation of coaching. Therefore, they are recognizing the value of having the specific credential, because it sets you apart. It provides you that true credibility, as we also are aware very well, as you shared, Michelle, that ACC credentialing process is not something that can be taken easily or simply. It's something that really requires the true excellence, because we are not just only doing just the academic exam, we are practically tested whether we do have that real world experience, not just only competence. So congratulations, Michelle, being able to achieve this milestone. Right. So now that more and more we talk about ACTC, I believe some of our colleagues here may be curious to understand what was the pathway like, the requirements, like moving from the coach specific training, team coach specific training, towards ACTC.
Okay, so the requirements are, and it's as you said, I really like the ACTC process because it's really grounded in all aspects actually, because you have the written exam, which is testing your knowledge of the competencies, and also scenario based, so best and worst answer, which is also in the PCC exam as well. So you have that aspect. Then you have to do the experience. So you have to have 5 coaching engagements. So you have to go out there, scuff your knees, and actually be practicing the team coaching. And alongside that, again, we talked about earlier the importance of having that supervisor. So they're asking for 5 engagements, team coaching engagements, and then they're also asking for 5 hours of supervision, which is fantastic because it's really important to experience the power of supervision, but it means that those 5 engagements that you're doing as well, you're also taking them to the next level because you're reflecting with a supervisor. So I found that very useful, having a supervisor, and I use different ones because, as we know, you get different experiences from different people. So I was with someone who was trained as a team coach. I was with someone who was a very experienced coach and had team coached, but the specialism was more about coaching. So I think it's important also to think about who your supervisor is. And of course, Fernando, if you do the ACTC process through Ignite, You've got your very experienced supervisor who is very well known in the world of ICF. So it's really important to think about who you're going to be supervised with. So you need to have your supervisor. And as I said, you've got the exam. And I think that's it, isn't it? So the exam, you need to do the 5 hours supervision and then the five hours engagement. That's right, isn't it? And of course, you've got to do this is building on you doing your team coach training. So those are the aspects that you have to do. And just a few tips for those of you who, well, let's say all of you are going to be on the ACTC journey. So a few tips, really useful when you are doing those coaching engagements. Keep a journal and just reflect on what you're doing, because when you actually fill in the application, you do have to write a paragraph. I think maybe up to 500 words, if I remember correctly. You have to write a paragraph about your coaching experience. So if you just keep a journal, what you did, what came up, maybe what competencies being used, then that will just really help you when you have to write the paragraph per each coaching engagement. So of course, showing how you've been using the competencies and being reflective. So that's a little tip. You also need to have 2 letters from 2 of the companies that you worked with. Just a simple letter, just simply saying, Michelle Arscott has team coached us, stamped by the company, hours or whatever, but you need to have, so be aware that you will need to ask 2 of those clients to do that letter with you. So once you've uploaded those and filled them all in, ICF will then make sure that everything's aligned. And then you will get like the PCC, when everything's been ticked off, then you will get your letter to do the exam. And again, you've got 60 days, I believe it is, before you actually have to do the exam. So then you go and do the exam. And the great thing is, when you do it, straight away, you are told whether you pass or fail. So that's really the process so it's pretty straightforward. And once you've done your coach training, it's very achievable, is what I'd say. It's very achievable to be able to get ACTC. So really, I would say, why not? What have you got to lose? And again, you're also being a pioneer. When I think it was I can't remember, February, I got my ACTC, I think it was. And I did ask ICF for the statistics. And at that point, I believe there was only 1,000 other people in the world who are ACTC accredited. So also, why not be a pioneer in the field? You're first, as we know with the ACC, PCC, it starts off small and then more and more people get the qualification. So why not also set yourself apart and show that it's really important to you and you're invested in your professional journey.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for inspiring all of us. As you were talking about the examination and this written part, it makes me very curious. Now, personally, I do not hold ACTC credential, so I also would like to really learn from you, Michelle. Can you please help us understand a little bit about, so what we know about the ACC, PCC, MCC credentialing exams, that there are multiple choice exams, multiple choice question exams, and then we have the best and worst choices. Can you tell us about the writing part, and then also how did the ACTC exam look like?
Okay, so the ACTC exam is similar to the pilot exam for the PCC, which is being piloted at the moment. So you have 4 parts. The first part is competency based. So it's making sure that you understand the competencies, maybe asking for a particular word. It's multiple choice. So it might say, is present A, B, C, or D? Okay. So you do that. So that's just testing your knowledge of your competencies. So that's part 1. Then part 2 will be the scenario based, which is again like the PCC exam, the common knowledge exam assessment. And this is making sure that you can apply it. So you have your worst and you have your best answers for this. So you've got a choice of 4. And again, it's very similar to the PCC. You know, it might not be a scenario. Maybe you don't like any of the answers, but you just have to look at the answers there and you have to work out of those answers, which is the best, which is the worst. So it is tricky. And also, you have to take yourself out of it because you might be offended by one of the answers because you think it's rude and it's not how we behave in our culture, or it's against my British sensibilities or whatever. But you don't look at it like that. You take yourself out of it and you're asking, am I violating an ethic? So you have to be really looking at those questions. So as I said, it really builds on that CKA exam. It's the same skill. So for me, it wasn't so hard to do that exam because it really built up on those. So just a few tips in terms of the ACTC exam. When you're thinking of the best and the worst, it's always about partnering. So the more partnering it is, the more chance that that is the best answer. So that's really important. Ethics are really important. So you've got to make sure that you're acting ethically. So you also need to go back when you're revising, go back to the original ethics, go back to the ICF values, go back to the one-to-one competency, because as I said, it builds up on it. Is it collaborative? Is it centering on the team? The more collaborative, the more it's centering on the team, the better the answer. Are you being transparent? So the more transparent you are, the better it is. So those are a few things. And anybody who likes acronyms, that's the PACT. So partnering, acting ethically, collaborative, and transparent. There's lots of acronyms if you like them. And then you're looking for things like inviting. And also it's very important to think about that when you're setting up the agreements, and is everybody in agreement? Has everybody had permission? So those are really, really important as well. And also very important to understand the different modalities and being able to really understand and be able to distinguish between the different modalities. So it's really remembering that team coaching is partnering, co-creative, and a reflective process. So those are just a few tips. So that's what I would say about the exam. So it goes part 1 is competencies multiple choice. Part 2 is the actual practicing it in real life and the best and worst answer. 10-minute break, I advise you to take it. Just go for a walk or whatever because it is intense. Then going back again to the multiple choice, competencies, multiple choice, and then again going back to the scenario based. So it's also shorter than the actual CK exam. So I was like, wow, this exam's going to be okay. It's shorter. It's got nicer multiple choice. So if you've done the CKA, this one, no problem. That's what I said to myself anyway.
Thank you, Michelle, for those very practical tips. Very, very valuable. Ida has a question in the same direction. My curiosity was going as well. Ida, thank you. Michelle, earlier, Ida, I will rephrase your question. Michelle, earlier you said that you submitted 2 coaching recordings like a write-up. Can you please help us understand, is it only 2? Do you need to do it for all 5? And then also, let's say, the write-up that you submit, should the letters come from those 2 write-ups that you're submitting?
No, so they didn't. The 2 letters can come on anyone. And the write-ups, you were just told to explain your experience. So, as I said, it's up to 500. And for each of the 5 experiences, you write that. It's just a paragraph, but you write those 500 words. So when I was writing it, I just made it very clear the competencies that I covered. And I also talked a little bit about reflection. Because it's look at it as you're proving that you're practicing the competencies, but you're also being reflective and thinking about, oh, I could have done this better. So it's their way of knowing that you're doing team coaching, because remember, because of the modalities, it's a way for them to check that this is team coaching. So you are talking about how this is team coaching. And I think when you filled out the form, you have to say how many hours, I believe, of team coaching, I think. And then you also had to talk about if other team modalities were also used in that experience, because ICF understand that it's not always going to be pure team coaching. So just look at it as a way to just show that you understand what a team coach is, and that you're reflecting and showing those competencies. But it's only 500 words, so it's not long. So it's about also being succinct.
Thank you, Michelle. That's very helpful. So we are understanding accurately that you will write 500 words per team coaching engagement, so you will be submitting 5 of them. Yeah, thank you for the
Yeah.
clarification.
So so 5 engagements, a paragraph for each one of those 5 engagements explaining the team coaching process.
Yeah, thank you. Very valuable, Michelle. Another question along the line is that, so when you submitted these write-ups, were you typing it down in a Word document in advance and submitting a Word document, or was it some kind of a form you were filling in ICF within a given time period?
Okay, so that's a very good point. Write it. This is from experience. Write it in a Word document first. And I think it's 500, but you can check. But I remember it was 500 words. And then copy and paste it into the application. And it's not time limited. So I actually did start my application before I'd finished. So you can open it earlier. But the only thing is, ICF will need to go back in to change the dates, because it's supposed to be 5 years from the date that you open it. So because some of mine were after, because I just opened it earlier, they did have to change the dates because it's 5 years from that date. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you, Michelle. I think many of our colleagues, including myself, we are very curious to learn a bit more about the ACTC credentialing process itself. So earlier you mentioned that there are 5 requirements, and I think I think we visited some of them really thoroughly. For an example, the submission of the requirement, the 5 engagement requirement. So let's revisit them a little bit and then try to create some solid understanding for all colleagues who are joining here through your experience, Michelle. So earlier you mentioned the minimum of 60 hours of group team coaching training. So that you covered with Ignite, and we understood that very well. And then now we talked about the credentialing, ACTC credentialing exam. I think that's also very clear to us. Thank you for the clarifications. And I think along the line, we also understood some of the requirements like this, submitting an abstract for each coaching engagement. This is very valuable information. Also, thank you for the tip, writing it earlier and then copy pasting it later into the form. Very valuable. And then you mentioned that you were so fortunate that organizations that you were already being an associate of provided you with the team coaching engagement opportunity. So my curiosity around there is that as you completed the training and then you stepped into this real world experiences, delivering team coaching, these 5 engagements, what was like your development and growth curve during that process, Michelle?
Good question, Fernando. Help me to think. So definitely there was actually just one point I would like to make about the write-up that you have to do, the abstract. Remember also you have to keep confidentiality. So you have to talk a bit broadly, because you've got to make sure that it's confidential. So just remember that confidentiality. So it's not really talking about specifics, it's talking about it more broadly, because you've got the ethics of confidentiality in that description. Okay, so my learning curve. Okay, so I feel like definitely a big learning curve from engagement 1 to engagement 5. And I think that's also from having the supervision, because I learned a lot from bringing situations to my supervisor. So for the actual 5 hours, I worked, Catherine's here as well. Hi, Catherine as well. So I worked with Catherine and Ada. We had group team supervision, which is really cool. I do recommend you to try that as well, because a part of it, the people in the team, that the group will also add insights and give advice and give support. So it's really good to have that perspective from other people. So I appreciate Catherine and Aida for their support. So, for example, I feel like one of the things that I really learned was more about the systemic, so understanding and bringing to attention the things that might be outside of the team's control. So maybe the culture, maybe gender. So it was really interesting to look at things from a systemic perspective. I also learned a lot about to deal more with conflict because, and you said it on your course, Fernanda, you actually have to be very brave. So I feel like the supervision helped me to be braver because you do need to call people out. As part of the competencies, if conflict is there, you need to tell them. So to do that, you need to be brave. So you have to call it as it is. It's within their interest. So definitely being in that supervision space with my colleagues that I've called out. There's also Anne as well, is not here. But I think having that braveness to know that that's my job. It's not about being nice and it's not about being horrible, but it's about my job is to call out this conflict and to address it, because part of my role as a team coach is to support you to deal with conflict necessary, and that actually conflict is not bad and is very necessary as part of a team's growth. So I think that really helped me to be braver and to call out the conflict. And also you will get tricky characters in your group. There will be the one who dominates and there will be the one who's quiet. So when these things came up, then I could bring it to the supervisor and bring it to the group. And then we could discuss ways to deal with it, questions you could ask, or maybe what's coming up for me. What am I telling myself? Because as a coach, supervision is also about reflection. So I learned so much from the process. And then I feel like the exam went hand in hand with that, because you're learning the reality and the actual practicing real life scenarios. So then the ACTC is just talking about those scenarios. But I feel like with the ACTC, then you're really interrogating the competencies. So you're really understanding that team coaching. So I actually love the process, because with all those different ways of doing it, you're really digging deep into understanding more about team coaching, which builds in beautifully on top of the 60-hour team coaching that I had. Because there you're learning, and obviously there's practical examples, and you're also practicing with your colleagues, and you had to do your own practice one, which was assessed. And then it's lovely because then it's the real world. So just think of all that learning and then just a great team coach you can be. And then you get that nice digital badge at the end.
Thank you, Michelle, representing the excellence that you created through that growth journey. And I think that's must be such a fulfilling moment to have that badge next to your credibility. Wonderful. Thank you, Michelle. So you spoke broadly about not only the experience through the team coaching engagements and the gain from that, but plus also how valuable the supervision was. I think as reflective practitioners, professional coaches, we understand very clearly that what we don't see, we don't see. And when someone provides a supervision, we are able to see a magnitude of things that we are not noticing within us. And especially because the team coaching environment can be very complex. Very clearly, we're starting to understand the importance of the supervision role and also sub-coach, if not the co-coach's role. Thank you, Michelle, for clarifying that over and over again. So let's quickly revisit the 5 requirements and then make sure that our colleagues here, if they have any questions, I invite you to send it in our chat room. So while Michelle is here, we are very fortunate today to have Michelle, so we can ask her experiences and insight. So please feel free to send any questions that you may have in the chat. And if you are watching this as a recording later on, feel free to send any questions that you may have either in the comments. If not, we will be sharing Michelle's contact details in the description of this video. So feel free to also directly connect with Michelle if you may have any questions. And also if you're an organization, if you may be a founder, if you are a leader and you believe that team coaching could be valuable for your organization or your teams, feel free to reach out to Michelle. as she is excelling this space and she is a pioneer as a ACTC credential holder. So let's very quickly revisit these 5 requirements. So colleagues, if I'm missing something or if you would like to know something, please feel free to send them in the chat. So we understood that ACTC, before ACTC, we are required to have 60 hours of team coach specific training. We shall talk about that. And then we also heard about 5 engagement, the value of the 5 engagement, the growth process that happened. So along with the 5 experiences, we have the supervision component, which also Michelle helped us understand. And then Michelle also discussed about the ACTC credentialing exam, the 4 segments and how to prepare for it. And then lastly, the other requirement is that you already hold the credential, either ACC, PCC, or MCC. So those are the 5 requirements at the moment. And if I may share from my side a practical insight, I remember the time about 20 years ago when I was going through the ICF credentialing process, individual coaching credentialing process. And if I compare the CKA, Michelle mentioned earlier, the previous examination, and then examination and the entire credentialing process, and then how it has evolved, especially how complex it has become, how strict it has become, I noticed that at the time that I was preparing myself towards the credentials about 20 years ago, the process was much lenient, and then later it became stricter, stronger, and more structured and standardized at a later stage. So I think ACTC is where as ACTC starting to become popular, I think it is still in a space where ICF itself recognizing the kind of standard that they are going to set. So I think this is really a wonderful time to consider if you have the right training, experience, and the right drive towards it. I think, like Michelle said, it's a good time to become a pioneer in this space. So thank you, Michelle, for all your insights. Colleagues, feel free to send any question around the requirements if you have. As now I'm inviting us to a bit of a different different aspects of Michelle's journey. Michelle, so we would like to also understand, as this is truly a very meaningful milestone in one's professional development, what are you celebrating? What are you proud of the ACTC pathway and accomplishing this milestone?
I think I'm proud that I did it because, we're all busy and we've all got many hats. So that I did it, I was very, I mean, this is my personality. I was very laser focused. I was supposed to do it in November, but then I got busy with work and, you have to do work, but it was team coaching. So at least it was still in my knowledge. So it just came to January. In January, in terms of my work, is quite quiet. So I just love the commitment. So I was just like, okay, let's do it. And I just focused for 2 weeks doing it. And I was actually going to give myself 3 or 4 weeks. But after 2 weeks, I was like, come on, Michelle, you know it. You've practiced it. You've taught it. You've done it. Just book that. So I did. I booked it and just gave myself 2 weeks. But that was revision because already with the ladies that I talked about, Catherine, Aida, and Hannah, we'd already done all the revision before. So I'm glad that I did. I just, bit the bullet and I said, right, in 2 weeks, I'm going to do it. So I'm just proud that I did it despite being so busy, being a mom and freelancing and all those things. So really proud that I said that I would do it and that I did it. And also, I do believe in setting, being a role model and setting examples. So I also did want to do it because at that time I was director of credentialing for the ICF Kenyan chapter. So shout out. I see you, Jared, and everybody, Catherine, but shout out to the people who are part of the ICF Kenyan chapter. So I had been sharing my story and encouraging people to do their credential. So I only thought that it was fitting that I myself also did the credential as well, because it's all very well to preach, but the best thing is also to do as well. So I'm proud that I did it, regardless of being busy. So I'm very proud of that focus.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm proud of you as a faculty member and an Ignite graduate. You're accomplishing that. And I'm also very proud as a professional coach that you're advancing our profession and meaningfully creating transformation in organizations with this enhance credibility with your ACTC credential. So as we are coming closer to the end time of this session, Michelle, I would like to also zoom out from just the credential focus, the requirement focus, training needs. I would like to also address this space that you are continuing to create and excel at from a global perspective. Um, from your reflections, what do you think is the reason why the world needs team coaching now?
I think, as we can all see, the world is definitely going through a lot of change and basically it's a bit of a mess at the moment. But in terms of the organizations that I'm working with, it's all about change management. There's all like a snowball effect because the economy is changing and the world's changing. So it's great when you can be at the chalk face and you can help these teams to be better. Performance is important on many levels, engagement is important on many levels. But now, when times are harder and there's more competition, AI, etc., then teams need to be doing better. So it's wonderful that there is these team coaches coming up through your course and following the ACTC path. And also, we mustn't forget as well that designation of the organizational development specialist, which you also get when you do the Ignite team coaching, which really makes you understand the organization. Because as a team coach, you've got to be able to understand, in terms of team dynamics, but also understanding that it's not just about team coaching level, it's also about the organization. So a great question is, maybe they've just gone through conflict and you've talked through it and you can say to them at the end of that session, okay, so what have you learned about how you interact with each other in conflict? And in terms of, what you could do better, how can you elevate that? How can you help the organization to be better at at conflict management, or, interacting better as a team? So the wonderful thing is, as team coaches, we can absolutely have that ripple effect. So yes, we might be working with a team, but we're also trained for them to think about how can we take it to that next level so we impact the organizations. And we all work in different organizations, so we can ripple effect be impacting governments and larger institutions. So these are, it's powerful at this time. So it's that ripple effect. We can be the change, we can make the difference and help to make the world a better place. Because what you also learn in the team coaching, we always know you can apply in relationships outside of the team coaching bubble.
Thank you, Michelle. I think this is a very valuable insight that you're sharing with us. Even if you really look at most of the organizations, I believe that some of you would agree with me that in organizations, how often the bureaucracy, politics, kind of agendas, and the toxicity very often. So when we engage with organizations, enabling them to recognize those elements and then create that harmonious culture, conflict harmoniously, and then building a coaching culture in organizations, I think definitely creates a ripple effect, and it makes the world a safer place for our children, the coming generations. So I think we are becoming a pioneer of something extremely powerful and valuable. So Michelle, I have one final very important question as the last inquiry today. So before we do that, since you mentioned several times that you completed your team coach education with Ignite, I would like to very quickly invite our colleagues, if you're looking for a team coach program, ICF accredited program, it is definitely very advisable for you to look into different programs that are out there. I think there are many amazing programs out there. Among those programs at Ignite Global, we also deliver Group and Team Coaching Mastery Certification, fully accredited by ICF. It's a level 2 program and it's focusing on advanced mastery. And like Michelle mentioned, it's truly practicalities focused program. As you know, if you look at the team coaching competency, you notice that they are really very well written, beautifully articulated sentences. At the same time, however, the question is, how do we translate this beautifully worded competency into real world practice? And that's where the complexities start to arise. So if you are interested, this program is also a dual certification where this program started, I created this program initially as an organizational development specialist using a coaching approach. This was the main certification we created because this program was created way before ICF even introduced team coaching competency officially. And when team coaching competencies were introduced, we did a thorough comparison and we noticed that our program had a much broader spectrum of how to approach organizations and transformation in organization. So it was very easy for us to re-accredit this previously ICF accredited program as a team coach specific program. And also when we did that, we made sure to accredit it as a level 2 program, which means, as Michelle was talking about, it's a dual certification, two certifications, group and team coaching, advanced mastery certification, and then second certification is organizational development specialist using a coaching approach. So these are the two certifications. I think if you're working as a consultant in organizations, aspire to provide team coaching, I think this certification is not just only a team coach certification. Because of its broader operations, broader scope, you are also able to have this designation as an organizational development specialist, which I believe strongly increases your credibility having this designation. And the second layer to this program is that we also created this program in a way that you can approach both PCC credential and the ACTC credential. So since this is a team coach specific program, you might wonder, so how do we enhance our skill from ACC to PCC? So how we address that is by providing you 6 months robust mentoring, core competency focused mentoring, elevating your skill level from ACC to PCC and helping you understand how to ace your PCC credential. So within this program, we are able to support you towards PCC credential, including everything. For an example, if you have completed your ACC certification elsewhere, we are able to take those hours and let's say upgrade your certification to a level 2 certification, provide you the mentoring, assess your 2 recordings internally within Ignite, and also we have a ICF credentialing preparation mock exam. So everything in one place, you can complete and go towards your PCC credential. And as Michelle mentioned earlier, we also have our designated supervisors within Ignite. We also provide you an opportunity to deliver and gain experience delivering team coaching. So therefore, we can help you with both PCC credential and ACTC credential. There, you only need to take one training. I think that's the highest advantage of one of the highest advantages of Ignite program. With 160-hour training hours, you can go towards ACTC as well as PCC. So if any of you are curious and if you would like to find more about our program, feel free to reach out to us. I know that Leah has been communicating to you. Feel free to reply to her and she will be more than happy to provide you information. Why? Because we are starting a new team coaching cohort in 2 weeks and we still have a few seats. And in fact, Michelle is one of the faculty members, myself included. And we also have other faculty members who actually hold ACTC credential. We have a very rich group of faculty members joining us from around the world delivering this program. So if you're interested, let us know. And also if you come with the recommendation of one of our faculty members, Michelle, Fran here, and then we earlier saw Ida. If you come through one of our faculty members, you have a $100 discount. And also we are also happy to extend our early bird discount. So altogether, you are able to receive a $200 discount, which is still available. So feel free to reach out to us. And the program is going to start on a Tuesday on the 31st of March. You still have 2 weeks to register, enroll. So let us know if you would like to. Now, Michelle, bringing our attention back to you, the final question is, what advice, insight would you like to share with our colleagues here or those who are watching us later in terms of pursuing ACTC pathway?
I think the advice is, I'm going to steal Nike, but just do it. because we are busy. So we're coaches and we know about smart goal setting and all that. So it's really about I'm going to do it. And then working out, how I'm going to do it and what's stopping me. And I made sure one of the reasons why I formed a group was because it keeps me accountable. So basically, I knew that I was meeting with the group every other week or whatever. So that kept me accountable. So we would give ourselves tasks to do. So it kept me focused and also focus on that endpoint, what it will give you, because it's definitely given me more confidence. And the thing is, as a freelancer, when people are looking at me, it definitely is not a disadvantage to say that I'm an organizational development specialist, but also I'm now ACTC. So I do feel like when you're bidding, because that's what happens in the world of freelance, you're against other people. So when you can say that you got the ICF, the golden standard of coaching, when you can say that you're ACTC, you're definitely putting yourself ahead of the game. In the world, you are one of 1,000 people. So, and if you look at the people who have the ACTC, a lot of them are, leading people in the world of team coaching. So you're putting yourself up there. And so you are really saying that, yes, I know my stuff. I've got this credential. So I definitely think it helps you and it helps you to be distinguished from your competitors.
Thank you, Michelle. Although I said that was the final question, as a professional coach, you understand my curiosity, right? So, as you're talking about the space that it has brought you in terms of credibility, please forgive me. I have another question before you leave, Michelle. While you are here, I would like to hear from you because you mentioned that as you did your ACTC credential as a team coach, organizational development specialist, that it really elevated your credibility, recognition, and possibility of showing up in the world to create transformation. So we are wondering, as you are excelling through our profession, what are your next steps? How do you see yourself continuing to evolve? Inspire us.
Well, I think the inspiration is I will be moving to another continent, Fernando. So I will be
Mm.
moving from Africa to the Far East, to Asia. So my next step is bringing and developing team coaching, organizational development specialists, bringing it to Vietnam, to Thailand and beyond. So it's bringing it to a new culture, a new world, and seeing where that takes me, Fernando.
Oh, that's fantastic, Michelle. It's music to my ears, particularly because I live in the region. I live in Thailand.
Your
So
neighbors.
you're going to be my neighbor. So I'll be able to see you more often. Thank you, Michelle, for your intentions and very generously sharing some insights and also some tips. It's very valuable. Once again, congratulations. And we are very excited for you to move to this part of the world and continue to expand the transformation that you create. We wish you all the very best. Thank you very much for joining with me today, Michelle.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us as well. Thank you so much, Fernando. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. So I do not see any questions in the chat. Instead, I see that Abhavati, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, Titapon and Gerard, Ida is saying that it was valuable and they thank us for hosting. So thank you once again, Michelle. Thank you everyone for joining us live and also thank you for joining us later through the recording. If you have any questions to Michelle, if you would like to work with Michelle, learn from Michelle. Michelle is someone who is very generous. I have always seen that she encouraged not only the students, trainees who go through this program, she encouraged the community, support everyone. So if you would like to reach out to Michelle, please do that. I know that she will welcome your questions and she will be there to support you. And if you need any assistance, support from Ignite, feel free to reach out. We love supporting aspiring coaches to grow and develop and continue the transformation that they create. So I also see Susan and some of you are sending my Zoom is a little bit slow today. With that, once again, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, everyone. Look forward to continuing this community engagements as we always do and look forward to your engagement and being part of this professional community. Once again, thank you. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody. Bye bye. Thank you, Fernando. Bye bye.
Thank you, Michelle.